a recap on what we did 2 weeks, well, I would just say 3-4 weeks ago now. The last entry which we did was to create an annual leave or maybe vacation so that we can assign it to a new hire. So what we did then, if I go to total compensation, if I go to basic, so and if I go to so this navigation which I'm working on is actually on step, if I'm right, yeah, step 27A, step 27A. So that's what I'm working on now. So we've done that already, but just a kind of recap anyway. So accrual plans. So in the accrual plans, what we set up the 2 plans. So we just say one will be 20 days PTO plan. So what we said, okay, because it's going to be in days, so the yearly entitlement are actually added 24 here. So I just say, yeah, they're entitled to 24 days every single year, and also created another one again, which I said they will be entitled to 24 days every year as well. So just it's the same thing anyway. So just for testing purpose. So if I go to one of the employees across here, so if I go to one of the employees, and this is one of the employees, if I do find, so at the moment it's saying between 3rd of July to 7th of August is not accruing anything at all. So it's actually saying -2. The reason why it's -2 is because he's taking 2 days off. But the main picture which I want you to see, for example, if I go to the end of the year, because this accrual is actually January to December. So if I go to 31st of December 2020, you can see that you can see 24 days. So this is the reason why you can see 24 days. For example, this employee started, I think, sometimes in July. So if I go to 2019, you will not see 24. You can see that you can see only 10. The reason why you can see 10 is because it's actually prorates. So that's why you can see 10 is taking 2 already. So that's why you can see 8 here. So which is the net entitlement. So that is the way annual leave plan works. Now there are many plans which could be, but the standard one which you see in a lot of companies is always a vacation plan, or we call it PTO, time paid off plan. So where they can actually book their leave. They can also, I mean, if they want to book a leave, which I actually showed you. So for example, this employee can book his leave. Now they can book it in self-service, or alternatively, any HR can actually book it on their behalf. So for them to book it, I will show you where to book it in the system. So if this employee wants to book, let's say 2 days, so this is the this is the person page. You go to orders, you see absence, just click yes. It takes a bit of time. So here, can you see that 2 days, which is he has booked before? So let's presume he want to take another leave. So we can just say you go to the green one. So just put exit there. I think it's that one, annual leave. So here we can just put let's presume he want to take a leave yesterday, only for 1 day, and we can put yesterday there, and here we can just put 1, then save. So that's only for 1 day. So just for us to check, if we go to fast path, we can go to accruals. So I think it's for the first employee. Can you see? Initially it was 2 days, now it's 3 days. So you can see that. So if you go to the end of the year, let's presume he didn't take any leave at all. So we can see that Yeah, it's 3 days. Initially it was 8, now it's 7. So that's the way it works. So if the HR actually book it on their behalf, because there's some rules in some companies where employees need to call the HR and say, yeah, could you help me to book this leave? Alternatively, employee will do it through self-service, and HR doesn't need to do it. I mean, normally that's what HR likes to do. They don't like to overburden themselves, so they like employees to do it themselves, which is called self-service. Okay, so that comes to the end of this training. But what we want to do, the two things we want to do, we want to do a kind of recap. The recap, what I mean is, because we've been doing this for a while, some people would have probably forgotten how I even started. Maybe this is step 1. They might even forgot completely. So what I'm thinking is maybe to either to do a recap or to completely do a new one. It wouldn't take time to do a new one. Of course, I'm going to be rushing so that we can pick up, or we can just do a recap of everything we have done before. So if I do a recap, what I can do is, let me just start from the beginning. What I did initially when we started was, there's no Excel HR super user. You only have sysadmin. There's nothing at all. We only have sysadmin. When we have sysadmin, what I decided to do was to give myself a super user. This is standard Oracle. Because normally when you want to create an HR platform, you need an HRMS manager responsibility, so you can start from there, even though you're not going to use this. If you notice, we've not been using this at all, but the only one we've been using was to create this. We've been using that, and we've been using sysadmin. Without sysadmin, you cannot even start anything at all. So you need sysadmin. That's very, very crucial. So I gave myself, I got sysadmin. I gave myself this responsibility, and with this responsibility, I was able to create my business group. So, and that's where you can see, actually, before I created the business group, the first step, I said create all KFFs. So what I did, let me start from the beginning. So what I did, I went into Sys Administrator. I said create all KFFs. So let me start from number 7. Number 7, because it's good, because what I don't want to do, I don't want to give you this book and people saying, oh, I cannot understand what is there. So if you notice, I said step 1, create all KFFs. KFFs means key flex field. If you are going to set up a platform for HR, you need KFFs. The key flex field consists of grade, job, position, cost allocation. Every company needs a grade. Every company needs a position. Every company needs they need jobs. Every company, they need cost allocation, because every budget needs to be costed. A lot of things which will be done in HR need to be costed. So that is very important. And every company, there's something called personal analysis. You need that. So, and also there's something called people group. You need that as well. Now, you might not actually use people group. You might not actually use personal analysis, but you need it, because 5 KFFs is very, very important. And I will tell you the reason why they are important, because you need to set it up in your business group. So if you notice, this is step 1. I said for step 1, this is the navigation. So I went into application. So I'm in sysadmin. So application, validation, key. So I went to flex field, key, and I went into segments. So remember, I said job is important, so I went into job percentage. So what I did, I just set this up. I call it UK job. So that's the one we set up. Like I said, we might not use it, but actually we use it anyway. So I just call it UK job. That's all you need to do for this for the segments. I created the segments. So these segments, we just say job band and job category. There could be many things about job. Remember, there's a difference between position and job. Job is generic, while position is specific. For example, when you get to a company, in the company, when you say, oh, I'm asking for a manager. Remember, this is a multinational company. You cannot say you're looking for a manager. Or you cannot say, I'm looking for HR manager. There could be many HR managers. If you say, if you go to a company and say, I'm looking for a manager, there could be, I don't know, 100 managers. So you got to be specific. When you have specific, that's when you have position. Oh, who are you looking for? I'm asking for an accounting manager. I'm asking for an HR manager. So that's the difference between position and a job. So that's why here you can see a job. So this is more generic, so we don't really need it. So you will see what I actually set up. So after that, then we went into position. Oh, sorry. We set up a position. So in the position, we set up UK position, and in the UK position, I just say position name, even though we've not actually used position, because even though in some companies they don't really need position, because in the assignment DFF there's something called local job title. In the local job title is the same thing with position, so they can just use that instead of create, because maintenance of position could be very big in Oracle. So that's why a lot of companies, they don't always use position. They will rather use job and go to DFF and just set up something called local job title. So local job title will be more specific. So which is what we actually wanted. But nevertheless, we still need to set this up. So we went into job and position. The next one we went into, we created I think cost. So here we created cost, UK cost. So in the UK cost, I just say cost center, business units. In some companies, you get quite a lot. You can get division, you can get many tabs. I mean, many names or window prompts. So here, just for our testing purpose, I only created cost center, because cost center is very crucial, and also I created the business unit. So that means the cost center is linked to a business unit. So that's what I did. In some companies, you can have like 5 or 6. I've seen 7 before. So you can actually add as many as possible. But for our testing purpose, 2 is okay. So I've created only 2. So the next one, which I created, I think I created people. Oh, sorry. This is called people group. Yeah. So this is people group, and in our people group, I think I created people. Yeah, I created UK people. In the UK people, to be honest, this is not really required, but you need it for your business group. So that's why I just say, okay, let me just put yearly accrual. Normally in the people group, you can add anything you want. So for our own purpose, I just added yearly accrual. So now I will show you where all this are actually necessary. So I think the next one, I think I created competency. This competency is not really necessary. So we created UK comp. So in the UK comp, we didn't even add anything because we don't need it anyway. So I added that one. So the next one, if I'm right, I'm not sure if I created personal. There's something called personal analysis. I don't think we actually did that. So this is not really necessary. So out of the 5, which I told you, so what I remember, this is sysadmin. What I did also was I added to my profile, I mean, for this security user divine, I think I logged in as a UK. I can't remember now. Oh God, I cannot remember if I think it's called. Okay, let me quickly check. Okay, UK. So I log in as UK. So if you notice, in the same sysadmin, I've got sysadministrator. I decided to give myself a UK super HRMS user. That was before I added this, so that I can use it to create a business group, because I cannot create a business group using sysadministrator. I have to create a business group using like I said, this is standard. This is Oracle standard. You can actually use Oracle standard to start your setups. It doesn't make any difference. So I added this, and when I added this, what I actually use this to do, so if I go back out, I went there. And what I did, because I wanted to create a business group, I just went to work structure, organization, description. And I think we created UK, if I'm right. I just created, yeah, oh no, UK, I think is Excel. Yeah. So this is the business group which we actually created. So even though I don't need this responsibility, but I only need it to create my business group. So if you notice, the classification says business group, and that's all I need it for. Once I create this business group, I don't need that responsibility anymore. So once I created the business group, so what I did was, which is the next step. So let me just keep on going. So the next step is step 2. So the reason why I'm doing this is that when you're going through this, you will actually understand everything I'm doing. So I say create a business group. So this business group is what I created using this responsibility. And also I said create a PAYE. Oh, sorry, I forgot to show you the PAYE. So if I go back to the business group, because you are using UK, so the PAYE, if I go to business group here, I go to others. So there's a PAYE somewhere here. I think is, okay, I think is that one if I'm right. Oh yeah, is this one. So you're gonna need this actually for, because in UK standard you need to have this. This is where this is the PAYE, a relation between your company and UK HRMS or HRMC or whatever they call them, so that your payments, your taxes will go to them. So that's why this is just dummy. This is don't worry about this. Is just a kind of dummy. So that's why I said employees PAYE reference. This is a reference which will go to HMRC. So and that's why I said create business group and PAYE, because this is very, very important, and this is statutory within UK, because every company must have a PAYE reference, which are the HMRC. So that's what I mean by that. So the next step was for me to go to step 3. Let me go to step 3. So step 3, I said create the responsibility. Remember, I've been using a dummy responsibility which I don't actually need. So now I need to create a responsibility for the company which I'm going to start building on. So what we decided to do was to go to, so here we need to go to sysadmin. So, and if you look at my navigation, I said to create a responsibility, go to sysadmin. So that's where I am at the moment, responsibility and divine. So responsibility will be here. If I go to security, so security, responsibility, and divine. So what we created, we said Excel. So that's the one I created. So I said, yeah, so this will actually be my starting point in creating in building for the company. Once I got all my requirements, remember I've gotten all my requirements and I started building. So then this is, I just, the name of the company is Excel. Let's say Excel PLC. So yeah, I can use their name to start my responsibility. Remember, I only created one responsibility. If it's a multinational company, you can probably have like 30 to 40 responsibilities, depending on the task which every HR user are going to be doing. Because if you have maybe 20 HR super user who are going to be doing different things, I mean different tasks in that company, so that means you've got to set up different responsibilities for them. So for example, if I'm working for a company, what I'm supposed to do, Sister Bolaji must not do it, and what she's doing, Sister Bolaji, what she's doing, I must not do it. So we must have separate responsibility for our different tasks and our different purposes. So that's why when you go to a big company, you can set up as much responsibilities as you want. And that's the reason why when you talk to the HR, local HR, you need to ask them what are the tasks which all your or your business partners or maybe super users or all the HR managers, what are they meant to do, so that we can set up different responsibility. But for me, this is called super user. This super user can do everything. But when it now comes to individuals, it must just be, for example, if I go to this super user, so if I go to this responsibility now, so you see what I'm talking about. If you notice, in this responsibility, you have different tasks which can be carried out by different people. So if I expand this, there's so many. For example, in some companies, some people, the only thing they will see is only people enter and maintain. People enter and maintain means they can only hire a new employee. That's all. They cannot do something else. That's all. So why some people, what they can do, if they can go here, so some people, they tag this benefit service center. This has got to do with a benefit that is applicable to that company. Some companies, they have a lot of benefits. So the moment a new hire goes in, they are entitled to something. So they're entitled to, not, this is not really an allowance. This could be a kind of a beneficiary benefit for that specific company. So it doesn't have to be an allowance. Allowance could be travel allowance, expenses allowance. That's not what I'm talking about. So there must be some specific things which the company say, you know what, you are a new hire, you're entitled to this, or you are a new hire, you're entitled to a benefit after 1 year. Or there might be some things like a benefit where you are entitled to this, but you are only eligible after 2 years, after 3 years, or maybe it could be after 1 year you are entitled to, let's say, £2,000. After 2 years you are entitled to £3,000, which is free. It might not even be taxable. So there's some benefit like that. I mean, I've worked a lot of many companies. They give them benefit like they have a lot of money. So this is where, so some people, their job or their task in that company is to deal with benefits. That's the only thing they do. So once somebody has done a new hire, they pass the details to another somebody else. I say, yeah, there's a new hire. They must be entitled to something. These are their names. So that person will go in and enter the name and say, yeah, you're entitled to this kind of benefit. So the benefit, or the benefits needs to be set up. So this is another tax. So that means whoever is doing benefits will never be able to create a new hire. They can never do that. So everybody have their different responsibilities. The same thing if you keep on going. There's some people, their task is to create a enrollment. This is what I'm talking about. This benefit enrollment, you need to create it from here. Once it's created, there's some tasks where some people, the only thing they do is to create the benefit enrollment. They do not allocate the benefits to a new hire. So can you see there's 3 different tasks now. So there's so many taxes. So if you keep on going, there's so many. So can you see there's quite a lot you can think of. This, if I actually minimize this, if I go to, there's some people, their only task is to do payroll. This is only payroll related. So they will never be able to do work structure. Work structure is related to, if I expand this, there's some people, the only thing they can do is to create location, organization, job, position, and grade. Now this looks like it's very, very minor, but it could be a very big one, especially when it comes to a very, very big company. In a very big company, they change a lot of things yearly. They change location yearly. They change, now if I mean they change location, that means they change some few things in location. When it comes to organization, they change a lot too. They can actually change a lot of things in organization. You'll be surprised how massive this could be. In a year, this could take them like 2 months to do organization, to do a lot of I'm talking of reorganization. They can reorganize location, they can reorganize their organization, they can reorganize job. So it can take a lot of time. So there's some people, their work is to do work structure. That's the only thing they can do. So they cannot do something else. So, and remember, everybody's tax, they're interrelated. They're related to each other. So whatever work structure, anybody dealing with work structure, whatever they do will affect somebody that creates a new hire. So they affect one another. It's just like the body. The body needs the end, the body needs the end, so they are related. So they need each other. So that's why the reason why I'm explaining this is because don't expect to see, oh, this is only super user. There could be a lot. I mean, in some companies you can get like 30 40 responsibilities. The company I'm working for at the moment, I think we've got close to 100 responsibilities. I think it's even over 100 responsibilities. So you'll be wondering, what are we doing? So yeah, there's a lot of tasks which they're doing. So now everything is not related to HR only. So it could be a responsibility for finance, for accounting, for HR, for benefits, for payroll. So it's a combination of many things. So we have over 100 responsibilities, well over 100 responsibilities. So just put that in mind. And this is the reason when you are asking, when you're doing your requirement gathering, you need to ask them, oh, HR, the top HR manager, okay, I'm in your company now. What responsibilities do you have? What are the tasks performed by everybody within your area? So they will let you know. So, and also you need to talk to the finance manager and ask them, okay, what responsibility do you do? So now remember, I'm talking of finance, I'm talking of accounting, I'm talking of various responsibilities. When it comes to creating responsibilities, most of the time, HR actually set it up. They actually do it, but there's some companies, division of labor, they will say, oh, finance will tell HR, please don't set up our own responsibilities, we will do it ourselves. So that means you are only tasked to do HR responsibilities only. That means finance department, they will create their own responsibilities. So that means as they're employing you as a consultant for HR, they're also employing somebody else as a consultant for finance, somebody else as consultant for maybe business intelligence, depending on the kind of model they will actually want to set up. It could be OLM, which is learning management. It could be Talio. So everybody, they actually employ different set of people, or we need to create their own different set of responsibilities. And some company, they will say, HR, do everything for us. So that's a lot of job. So okay, so I'm just that's just by the way actually. So let me go back to the responsibility. So if I go back to sysadmin, so this is where I created the responsibility. Only one responsibility for now. And what I did, I said, what is the application? Is human resources. If I put finance here and I try to go to HR, I will never see anything. So this application is very, if you notice, the moment I created it blanks out immediately. So human resources is very, so this is combination of many applications. So what I am doing is actually human resources. So that's why I said human resources. If I pick up finance and I try to go to HR, I will never see anything HR at all. It's just going to show me financial. So that's human resources. When do I want to start? 1951. Normally the conventional date which everybody use is always 1951. Some people, they can use 1950, but I know there's nobody that will be employed from 1951. So that's why they always use 1951. So just to kind of pick up any kind of old dates. And also the company may have started long time ago. So let's presume they started, let's say, in the 50s or maybe in the 40s. Oh, sorry, actually in the 60s. So these dates we actually capture any historical data. Normally, when you're setting up, they don't, even though they have a lot of historical data, it's up to you to tell them, sorry, we cannot go back as far as 50 years ago. It's not necessary. So you can just tell them, okay, we can go back as far as 10 years ago, but anything before then, we put it in the archive, because they might want to refer to it in the future, because there might be some people who are employed, let's say 1951, they're still on pension, they're still alive. So that's why historical data is very important. So anything for Oracle, you don't want to go back as 1951. You want to go back any historical data which they have, maybe 10 years ago, it's okay. Normally, most of the places I work, they always go back only as far as 7 years. They don't even like 10 years at all. So some people, they accommodate 10 years. Anything over 10 years, they put it in an archive, and it stays in an archive for a very long time, because of anyone that is still within the company and is still on pension, because some people, they're still on pension, so they started before the 10 years historical data. So I put human resources here. So if you notice, I say Oracle application. You only use the second one only for self-service. The third one, you don't use this, to be honest. I've never used this before. I've only used the first and the second one. So this is always standard. Remember, application, human resources. So for example, if I try to put finance here, I think it should, yeah, there's a lot of finance module as well. So, but what we actually wanted is only human resources, and that's what I wanted. That's what I needed anyway. So now it says menu. Menu. I only pick up the in the menu. I only pick up the standard. That's why you can see it says S means super. So HRMS navigator. I only pick up the standard. So normally I should have trained you how to create yours. Normally in my places of work, I never use standard, and because the reason why I never use standard is actually, let me show you. If I go here, I've copied, so I will show you where this is actually set up. So if I go to application, menu, so we actually call it menu. So if I click there, so this is standard. This is from Oracle. So if I go here, just for you to see that this is actually from Oracle, can you see? This is 1980, so it's a very, very old one. So, and can you see it says seeded? That means it's very old. Now, I don't normally like to use this, because the reason why I don't like to use this is because if I use it, if there's any changes from Oracle, they will change it and they will not inform you. At times they inform you, and at times they don't inform you at all. So if they make any changes, normally they don't always make changes, but if they make any changes and you already use it, it's going to affect you, because whatever updates or enhancement they do will automatically go into your system and update your system as well, because you're using Oracle standard. So normally what I try to do is to copy. So I'll just, for example, I'll go here. I'm not going to do anything anyway. So I'll just go here and just say, let me just say Excel underscore. I'll just create my own. So I can just do this. Then what I will do, I will copy everything that is in the UK one. I will copy everything here. So if there's any changes from Oracle for this one, it will not affect anything that says from Excel. So that's the reason why we always create ours. We don't use standard. But for testing purpose, yes, we can use standard. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Oracle changes all the time, but if they change it, it could be every 10 years, it could be every year, it could be every 2 years. When they change it, it's going to affect you. So that's the reason why I don't always use it. So let me just go out. So if I go back to the responsibility, so if you notice, when I was doing this before, I did not explain a lot of things. So I just want to make sure you actually understand, because to be honest, when you're doing an implementation for a company, you need to have a full understanding of what you're doing. If you don't understand it, you can be you can be left out. So, but to be honest, what we actually help you and guide you, I put every single navigation here, so it will kind of guide you and help you. So yeah, I just said that's the menu which I showed you, and also I pick up the standard request group. This consists of a lot of standard reports from Oracle. Let me copy this and I will show you where it is. Normally, I don't like to use this request group as well. These are standard, because if I use this, I will show you now. So copy. Oh, sorry, I put it under the application, so I need to put in the group. So this is standard from Oracle. So let me show you. I don't think anybody has touched this. Can you see? Since 2001, 2006 is a very, very old one, and nobody can add a new one. This is Oracle standard. Now, the reason why I don't like this is good to use. Don't get me wrong, but what happens is in the future, Oracle can go in and they can remove this. Let's presume you are using this in your company and you are actually using the standard one. If they remove this from Oracle by using a patch, then you're stuck. So that's why I don't like using it. So I'd rather create mine. So what I normally do is I just go there and I say new one, I can just say Excel underscore. Oh no, I think there's a lot of space. Sorry, let me. Yeah, I think it's longer. So if I just put, let's say Excel underscore. Oh no, it doesn't allow me. There's too much space. So let me actually remove UK underscore. So I can just create this for myself. I say Excel HRMS report. So if anything change, and I'll add everything which Oracle has added, because maybe my company will need it. So if anything changes with the standard one, it will not affect me because mine is in isolation. So that's why it's always good to have a new one. So yeah, so that's the way request group go. And this actually, if I go back again, so let me go out, close this form. So let me go back again. So if you notice, all these are standard reports from Oracle. These are very, very good to run. So instead of creating some customized reports, you can actually use standard reports. But the problem with standard report is, if you notice, this says organization hierarchy. This one says position hierarchy. This one says termination. Instead of running this report in isolation, running that report in isolation, running every single report in isolation, and you start doing VLOOKUP to put it together, why not customize a report and have only create make your technical department, let them create a report for you that will have everything. So once you run your own reports, then it contains everything, rather than going in there and say, oh, this will be useful for me. I need this. I need the assignments. I need the person full details. You run all these three reports. It gives you three separate reports, and you now do VLOOKUP to put it together. It doesn't make sense. But to be honest, if you only need for person details, yeah, that's fine. But if you need if you want a combination of many reports in one report, then you need to do a customized one, just a customized one. So this, you can only do that when you have your own request group. You cannot add a customized report to this one. If you add it, when Oracle are doing refresh, they will kick it off. It will go out. You will never see it anymore. So that's the reason why it's always good to have yours. So let me go out of here. So if I go back to responsibility divine, so yeah, so that's the request group. Now, if you notice, I didn't add anything here. The reason why I didn't add anything here, now, the reason why we have this, if, for example, this menu is got a lot of functionality. So if you don't want one specific functionality to come up, you don't need it, and this is one of the security which you put under a specific responsibility. So we can add, let me see whatever is here. Yeah, there is some. Let me show you. So if I go to this menu, because it's good for you to understand what you're actually working on. So if I go to this menu, for example, everybody who have got this responsibility, they can do people, they can do fast part, they can do, these are the roles which they can actually do. For example, I don't want people to do, let's say, payroll. Or actually, let me go to something very simple. Okay, let me say I don't want them to do transaction maintenance. So what I will do is I will go here. This is the sub menu. So I'll copy. So I'll go to that copy, and I will go out. So I'll go to the responsibility. So I will add it here. So I will say, because it's a menu, I'll say it's a menu, and I will add it here. So what that means is anybody that's got this responsibility will never be able to perform this task. That's what it means. So the same thing, if I have some specific, so if I go to, no, it's telling me to say I don't want to save. So if let me just pick up something else. No, okay. Actually, I can say another menu. There's another menu called, oh my God, I can't remember now. Let me just do UK. Okay. These are some menu. If I don't want anyone to do UK fast part, so that means when they have this responsibility, when they save, they will never be able to do fast path. They will never be able to do transactional maintenance form. So it's one of the security for which, for example, if I create a new responsibility here, I can say, okay, Sister Bolaji, you're going to be working on one specific responsibility. I don't want you to perform some tasks, and I will put exclusion of what I don't want you to work on. I'll put everything here. So when Sister Bolaji goes in, she will only see specific of what she can do. And because I've already taken it out, I've already excluded it. So this is one of the exclusion. But because we're only doing for testing purpose, I didn't bother myself adding an exclusion. So you need to note how this actually works. It's very important. So when you're doing a kind of when you're doing a build, this is very important, especially when you're going to be creating different responsibilities. So that's for let's leave responsibility for now, but it's very good for me to explain this because so that you can understand how it actually works. So the next step, let's go to the next step. So on the step 4, this step 4 says add your responsibility to profile. So this is the responsibility that we have. So I'm going to copy this. So it's going to ask me to save. I'm going to say I'm not saving. So now it says add responsibility to profile. So let me just see. Okay. Now before I add the responsibility to profile, what I want you to understand, firstly, before I do that, is when I created my business group. So let me just go back to business group. When I created my business group, work structure, organization, then description. So this is our business group. So this is our business group, which we created under another responsibility. So the moment you created this there is something called profile. So if I go to profile somewhere here, so let me minimize. So if I go to security, profile, this is automated. So sorry, I'm just gonna query. So the moment I created that business group, it automatically created this. I didn't create this at all. I didn't even come here to do anything. It automatically created this. That's what it does. So now what it's not saying is it says attach your responsibility to profile. So it's saying attach the responsibility which I've been showing you to this profile, which I did not create. But this is very good because I didn't do it, but it's necessary. Because that's the reason why that's Oracle standard. There's some things which the moment you click apply or submit or save, it automatically do something for you at the back end. So it automatically created this. So what it's telling me, so if I go to sysadmin, so what it's saying is go to what's the navigation? Yes, sysadmin, profile. This is a profile. I'll say open, system, then I'll say open again. So here I'll just say Excel. We've already done it already anyway. So what we did was, if I can just, we've already done it, so I don't need to do it again. So if you notice, what I said is here, if I go out a little bit, I said here under profile, you need to type in HR percentage sec. Percentage. So once you do this, you do find. And once you do find, it gives you this. Can you see? Sec. And what you do, just add the business group here, which is UK_BG. And once you do that, automatically this business group is auto-populated. Normally we don't do this. It just once you do the first one, the second one comes up itself. It's automated. The next thing you need to do is HR user type. HR user type. So here I can just say user. And so that's why I say percentage, user percentage. So that's what I've done. So the moment you click on find, it takes you here. It takes you to this user type. And here, what I've done, let me expand this. There are only 3 options. So what it's saying is, this responsibility, do you want only whoever is going to have this responsibility, do you want them only to do anything HR specific? They should never be able to use payroll, which is the other two options. If you say HR, anything that is related to payroll, they will never be able to do it. Anything that is related to payroll, even if they click it, it errors out. It's going to say you are not eligible to do it. So if it says HR with payroll, that means everything that is related to HR and payroll, they can do it. If I say payroll, that means everything that is related to payroll, they can do it. If anything HR comes up, they will never be able to do it. So most of the time when it comes to super user, we always say HR with payroll so that they can do everything. So that's what we mean by that. But if I limit it to HR, for example, there's some recently PwC, they created a responsibility, and one of the ladies, she mistakenly she created a super user. She mistakenly put HR only, and she rolled it out, and everybody keep on going. They couldn't do anything specific to payroll. So then I immediately knew what happened. And I said, okay, I told her, I said, Kate, you need to change this. So I said, go in, put it to HR with payroll. She went in, put it to HR with payroll, and all the users were able to do everything. So which says that. So just make sure you note this. So that's what it means. So if I can minimize this again. So that's what I mean by attach your responsibility to profile. Now, for testing purpose, we only added to these three. Most of the companies, they can add as many as possible. You can get quite a lot. I mean, I've worked in a company where we have almost 10, we have 15. So depending on what needs to be done for that specific responsibility. But for testing purpose, these are the main ones which we need anyway. So we can just leave this for now. Now for the next one, if I go to step 4. Step 4, I said attach your responsibility to your username. So because you are the one doing a build, so because you are the one doing a build, you need that responsibility, because remember, you're not going to be using, if I go out here, if we remember, we've been using UK super user before. Now for you to start your build, you need to attach this to your profile. So what I did, I went to sysadmin, or actually I mean sysadmin. Sysadmin, can you see sysadmin, security user define. So security user define. And what I did, I queried that. I mean, I can't even remember it again. So yeah, copying. So I went in, query myself, Control F11, and remember, I initially have this and this. Now I just added this. So once you add it, then you're done. So then with this, you can start doing all your build. So remember, you still need, but for example, I don't need this anymore. So for example, I can just, oh, I don't need this anymore. I can end date it and say, yeah, I don't even want to see it anymore, and save. So now that I save, if I go here, you will not be able to see it. Can you see? I've only got 3 now. So that UK, the main one which I actually created and which I actually added is now gone, because I say I don't need you anymore. So it's gone. So once you do that, so the next one, let me just quickly go to our text. So that's attach your responsibility to your username. So then you can start all your build. So the next one I say add values to all the KFS segments you created using validation, values, and your lookup. Now remember, when we created all the KFS, there's so many. Let me just show you one sample. These are the key flex fields. So if I go to, which one should I go to? Let me go to costing. Oh, sorry. So when I went to cost, so this is UK cost. We said cost center, business unit. So what I've got UK cost center, UK business. So this is what I mean by value sets. So this one, if you notice, I said list of values. At the moment, there's no list of values. So for me to be able to add some list, because this is cost center. Cost center is a combination of maybe anything that's got to do with business units and numbers. And in some companies, it could only be it can be alphanumerical, and some companies it could be only numbers. But being in companies, they only use numbers. So I don't know how they're able to identify themselves with numbers. So there's some companies they use alpha, then numerical. So alpha could be, let's say, HR 1, 2, 3, 4. For another company, it could be accounting AC 3, 4, 5, 6, something like that. So alpha numerical. So or character numerical, depending on what it is. So if you notice, I only set this up and that one, and if I go to value set, I said add list of value, but if you notice, there's no list of value. So what I did, I'm just going to copy this, and what I did, I said for me to add some values, I said, if you notice, I said in the navigation, I said sysadmin, application, validation, values. So what I did, I'm just going to copy this and do find. And you can see some values which are added. These are just dummy data anyway, so it could be a combination of anything. I said accounting, communication, finance, HR, IT. So it could be anything. It could be, these are just dummies anyway, so don't worry yourself about it. So what I said was, when you create a value set, in KFF or anywhere, you need to add those values to it. This is where you add the values. So you go to this navigation, you click on values, and you add the whatever information you need to add, and you say find, and you can add as much values as possible. So that's for step 6A. I'm not sure. Let me see what is on 6B. So yeah, 6B. Oh, okay. 6B, I said 6B is not really required for now, because most of what we did, what we actually, okay, 6B, I think is got to do that one. Let me see if I can actually teach you guys how to do that so that you can know what I'm talking about. Okay, yeah, 6B, I mean, there are two ways to add many values. You can add value by doing the value set, which I showed you, or you can add values by using a lookup. So I'm just thinking how I can do this. Let me quickly show you, because it's good for you to know other way instead of having looking at other one way. So for example, if I go to, okay, let me go to application. No, normally you always use DFF. So let me see if there's anything here which we can use. Okay, so additional. God, I can well remember this. I haven't done this for a while. So additional. Okay, so if I think we created one for Excel, yeah, there's one for Excel here. So let me see what is here. Okay, so let's try this. What I'm going to do, just for testing purpose. So this is ours. So we can just say go to segments. So I can just say number 30. I can just say what can I can just put grade. This is just for testing purpose. Okay, don't let me use grade because we already have grade. Let me use I'm just trying to think now. Okay. Let me just use business. No, actually, okay, I think I know what I'm going to do. Let me say local job title. I think this will be good. So local job title. So let me just pick up anything that, for this one, and I can just say number 12. That's fine. So here, I'm just going to go to value sets. So I can just say Excel. I always like to use a capital letter. So, Excel underscore job underscore title. Sorry, title. So here I can just say char is fine. how many characters? We can just say 40. Now, this is where normally I will save once I get here so that we can add the values using the value set, which I showed you before. But if you're going to change it, you can just say table. You use table and you say edit. Here, this is what I wanted to show you. So here, you can just put human resources because you're doing human resources. So here, you can just put HR underscore lookup underscore lookups. Here, you can just put meaning. So voucher 2, you can say 40. And here, you can just put lookup underscore code. And the same thing as well, voucher. And you can just put 30 there. So here, you can just put lookup underscore type is equal to, so this is where you're going to need okay, where's my, okay, so this is where you're gonna need, so you put in quotes, so Excel underscore job underscore title. So yeah, once you do that, so remember this is the same thing with what we have on the value set name. So just to make sure, yeah, I'm happy with that. Then, oh sorry, lookup. My spelling is wrong. So lookup underscore type is equal to J. So then you save. So it says completed successfully. So then I'm just gonna copy this so that I don't lose it. So copy, then save. Then I'm gonna add it here. So let me just say I don't want it to be mandatory, so I'm gonna remove required and save. So based on what I did, so I'm gonna show you where you can find it. Then say compile. Okay. So if we go to our responsibility, I will show you where to find what we just did. So people, if I go to that any specific employee, so if I put Smith, so let me look for a particular employee, go to assignments, and you go to DFF. Can you see local job title? But if I do local job title, if you notice, there's nothing there. Can you see? Nothing is there. So this is what you're going to do. So we go to other definition, application utility. So what you do, just paste, meaning you can do the same thing. It doesn't make any difference. Human resources. And here I can, because it's a local job title, I can just say HR. I can just put HR there. I can say what can I say? Okay, HR manager. So you can remove these dates. We don't need it. So the same thing. ACC. We can just say accounting manager. So you don't need these dates, remove it. So here you can say communication manager. So let's leave it at 3. So that's fine. Can you see those are being specific? Then I'm going to save it. So if I go back to people, enter maintain. So let me query one of the employees, find assignment, go in there. So if you notice, there's nothing there at the moment, but if I click there, I can see those 3 which I just created. So let me expand. Yeah, I can see. So this is where I'm saying here you got job there, so you can actually put job title here as well. Look at job title, say accounting manager, depending on whatever. This is just a sample. It could be anything. So this is just a sample. The reason why I was able to do this, I'll say, okay, you guys are going to be using value set values, which is 6B. I said, sorry, 6A. 6B is another way to add values when you create a kind of value set. So this they call it value set. What I did in KFF is called value sets. In the DFF also it's called value sets. So these are the different ways to add values to those value sets. So those are the two ways. So you need to note that, so that in case when you get to a company, they say, oh, we got a lot of values. Could you help us to add more values to some of the fields which we wanted? So those are the various ways you can actually do add more values. So the next step which we have, it says create location. Now create location is pretty straightforward. So if I can just go to create location. Create location, if you look at the navigation, it says your responsibility. This is my responsibility. Work structure, location, and description. So it also, so let me just remove these dates. So it automatically gives me this location, and I think the location which we created 2, if I'm right. I just say Excel. I just say Excel headquarters, Excel local office, and I think that's it, if I'm right. Yeah, those are the only 2. I mean, in some companies you can have like, I don't know, close to 100 locations. Some companies you can have 50 locations. So location doesn't have to be one in UK, one in US. Even in UK you can have like 40. Only in UK. In America you can have like 60 different locations. So every location, that's the reason why you can see it says global. So it's not local. So if for example, if you're implementing and they say, oh, we want every location to be local, then you can click on local. But most of the time they always use global, because if it's a global company, then you will need it to be global so that anybody in US can see it. Because if you put local, anybody in US cannot see the location in UK, because you already put local there. So that's the reason why we always use global, so anyone everywhere all over the country they can see it. If I mean everywhere all over the country, that means within that business. That's what I mean. So yeah, so you can create as much location as possible. In the company which I'm working for at the moment, I think we have close to 500 locations, over 500. So in fact, there's some location I'm not even sure if they're using it. Maybe there's not even nobody there anyway. So yeah, but even if there's location there, most of the time they can either end it. You can end it by saying inactive, or they just leave it there. It's not harming anybody anyway. So that's location. The next step says step 7. Here it says job. I think what we created here, we went into job. So job, if you notice the navigation for job, it says your responsibility, work structure, job, and description. So if I do, let me do find. I'm not sure. I think we created this. Yeah, I think we created this. This is our business group. So we created this. So if you want to create, I mean, this is what we created. If you click on name, so what you do, so this, remember, this is our segments. We call it field. So this is UK job band. We sell just a 1, and we've already added more. So I think here we only added all these values. So I was able to pick up 1. So then category, I think I created from few categories. So these are the ones. So this, if you want to create it, so normally you create it from here. So once you and you make sure it's 1951. So these are the ones which we created. And the moment you created all this, let me show you where you can actually, before I do that, let me say, I think the next one says create grade. I think we've created grade as well, grade rates, and the next one says create organization. Oh, let's quickly do that, and I'll show you where you can see everything. So the next one says create grade. So work structure again, grade, description. I think here what we created, let me just see, I can't remember what yeah. So we created all these three grades. So once we created all these three grades, what we grade, I mean, depending on the company, there's some grade, they do grade A, grade B, grade C, grade whatever. And remember, value is associated with every grade. So for just for testing purpose, we created grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, and value is associated. Let me show you where the value is associated. We call it grade rates. So if I go to grade rates, so this is grade rates. So this is grade rates. So if I do exec, this is what we did. We just say exec grades. And remember, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. So these are the values which are linked to every grade. So anyone with grade 1 will be between 20K and 30K. So this is the mid value. Anyone that is on grade 2 will be between 30K to 40K. So you can keep, I mean, there's many companies, they have quite a lot of grades. So just for our testing purpose, we only created 3, and is from 1951. So make sure your conversional date is 1951. So that's for grade. And now the next one is for organization. So if I go to work structure again, then organization. So which is step 11. So for step 11, I think we created some few, if I'm right. Oh God, I can't even remember what we, no. So if I go here, I think I created from yeah. Oh, what is our grade? I can't remember what we created, percentage. Okay, sorry, it's capital X here. Okay, so these are the organizations which we created. I can't remember, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago now. So we created HR. The organization will be the departments where people are going to be working. Remember, these are just dummies. When you are doing your requirement gathering, you need to ask them how their organization or how their department will be. So if I mention organization, I'm talking in terms of department where you need to set up. I know in various companies they use department. For Oracle, they always say organization. We don't always use department, but they're all the same anyway. So you set them up in the same whether department or organization is the same setup. So yeah, these are the ones which we created. So, and once you've created this, where are you going to be? You've created your job, your location, your grade, your organization. So where is it going to be visible? The moment you created them, you go to this employee. So if I use this as a sample, so the moment you create it, you can see this as the organization. This is one of the organizations you created. This is one of the jobs. This is one of the grade. This is one of the location. So this is where you actually set, and this is, if you notice, all these are mandatory. So there's no way you will create a new hire and they've got to work somewhere. There's no way you can create a new hire. They've got to have a job. I mean, you created them to do something. So that's why it is mandatory. They're always mandatory. Grade, you can create somebody, they might not have a grade. Maybe you don't want to pay them. So that means they don't need a grade. But of course, you need to pay them. That's why you can see it's actually non-mandatory. But you need to pay them. The same thing with location. You can create somebody, a new hire, they might not be located anywhere. Maybe they're just flying somewhere. So, but that's why it's not mandatory. But they've got to have a location. So that's why we have this. Now, once we do that, so that's where you set this up. So if I go to step 11, sorry, step 12, I'm not sure what is in step 12. Step 12 is, okay. Oh, this is create position. Let's just forget about position for now because it's not really mandatory. So we can just leave position. Actually, let me show you. I've never set up a position in a very long time. So let me just set up position for you. So for position, the same work structure, position, description. So let's go to 1951, which is our conventional date. So new, we're creating a new one. It says, what is the position name? Okay, we've created a, oh god, I'm not sure if I actually added a list. Oh yeah, I didn't add a list. Okay, okay. Let's try to UK position. Let's try to add a list. So for me to do a list, because I remember it's actually a KFF, so I can just add a list. So go to application, validation, value set. So I can just say UK percentage position. Yeah. So position name. So here, position. Oh God, what can I say? Okay, position. Remember, position is the same thing with local job title. So we can just say, let me say admin, admin assistant, admin assistant. Is my spelling okay? Yeah, I think so. HR manager, senior Oracle consultant. I can just say business analyst, support manager, test manager. I think that should be enough. So let's save it. So if we go to position, so compile. So if we go back to Oracle, so remember work structure. Oh, sorry, work structure. My system is frozen. Okay, open, then description. Okay, I am in 1951, so that's fine. I'll say new. So if I click on name, so it should give me some of the ones yeah, so these are the ones we've created. So I can just say support manager, say okay. So now what it's saying, I hope there's something here. Okay, pooled. So none, pooled, share, single incumbent. I don't know what is one. Now pooled, normally we always use none. If it says none, that means this position will only be done by one person, just one person, which is always common within some companies. So you can say none. Pooled means maybe, for example, there's some companies like NHS. NHS, some people work in the middle of the night, some work in the day, some work in the evening. So that means it's pool. That means if this is a nurse, we can just say nurse maybe 103, something like that. So this nurse 103 will be shared within 2 or 3 people. So it could be a kind of pool. So and also I think shared and pool, they work hand in hand. Normally I don't use this, to be honest. I hardly use it because this, I remember doing this maybe 15 years ago in NHS, so it kind of make my head crazy. So this is what I always use. I rather just use pool to be on the safe side. So none to be on the safe side. Now organization, I think some of our organization should come up. I think so. Oh sugar. I just pray that it comes out. Okay, yeah, I think our organization is coming out. Job. I think some of the job should come up as well. So find. Yeah, so let me just say communication. It doesn't make any difference. Status, I think this should be active or something like, yeah, active. Then once you're done with this, you go to the hiring. So FT will always be 1. Account will always be 1. What else is necessary? Yeah, payroll. Do we have a payroll? I think we have a payroll. Yeah, that's a payroll. Salary basis, I think we have a salary basis. Grade, I think we have grade. So let me see. Yeah, let me just say grade 1. Step, we don't have step. So let me save this. I just pray it works. To be honest, I've never used this for a long time. So okay, it's saved. So once you save it, you can go to people, enter maintain, remove 1951, reset. So if I go to employee, find, assignments, so if I go here, I should be able to see the one we created. Why it didn't come up was, remember, as associated in the position I created, I link it up with an organization, a job, a grade, and I'm not sure if I did a location, and also I link it up with a payroll. So because what I'm trying to pull up is telling me, oh, this is already there, so it's saying it's not going to work. So what I would do, just for the testing purpose, let's quickly try to create somebody. So I'll just say UK underscore employee 2. So okay, it's not going to take time, so I can just say create employee. That's fine. Then N9, we don't need, well, let me just put an N9 there. So it's T. When was he born? He was born January 1991. 91. I think this should be enough. It's starting today, so that's fine. Save. No match. Okay, so I go to assignments. So once you go to assignments, the first thing you need to do, remove this, and let me go to the position which we created. So just say okay. So let me go to the position which we created. So just click on control and do find. Can you see it came up? So can you see what it does? It automatically populates everything. So it automatically populates the payroll, the organization, the job, and the grade. I think we didn't add location. So if I added location, it would have populated the location as well. So that's what it does. So, but the thing is, the reason why a lot of companies don't like to use it is because of this maintenance. What happens is, it's difficult on its own to maintain a lot of organizations. It's a lot of work to maintain job. It's a lot of work to maintain grade. It's a lot of work to maintain location. Now nobody wants to, because whatever you do here, you maintain, you need to go to position and start changing whatever you've done in position. That's why a lot of people don't like doing it. So for example, if we make a lot of changes, for example, if I don't need this anymore, I want to get rid of it. We don't need organization. So that means I've got to go into position which I created and remove that organization and replace it with something else. So it's a lot of job to maintain this. So that's why a lot of people don't like using it. So because whatever you do in organization, because some big companies, they do a lot of reorganization, reclassification. They do a lot of things every single year or every 2 years. So if there is a lot of job to do this itself, now you need to go to position and start doing, because whatever you do here will affect position, or else it's going to be erroring out all the time. So that's why nobody wants to do position anymore. So it's still common. Some companies, I think NHS, they use it. Some big companies who have specific set of people who can maintain, because I know some big companies, they have people, their own job is to maintain position. This is a lot of work, to be honest. So what they do, anytime they maintain position, they are also the same set of people who maintain all this organization. So whatever reorganization, classification that goes to organization, job, name, and every other thing, once they change it, they have to go to position and make a lot of change. Some position you can get like, I don't know, 8,000. So they need to go in and start making changes. It is a lot of work. This can take, it can take months to fix, months, especially when the company is going through reorganization. So that's why many people don't like using it. To be honest, the last place I've ever used this was maybe 10 years ago or maybe 11 years ago. I was even surprised. I even still remember. So because I haven't used it for a very long time. Most of the companies I've ever worked with, they said no, they don't need it. So nobody ever used it. But some companies, they still maintain it, so that's fine. Okay, so that's what it is. I don't need to, to be honest, this is just a for testing purpose, so I don't need this anyway. So if I go back to the normal employee we've been using, sorry. Okay, I can't remember this one. I think it's number 1. Yeah, that one. Okay, so that's the one we've been doing. So if I go back to our steps, let me see where we are. So that's for position. So okay, so this one says once you create everything, you create an employee. Once you create an employee and you add, just like what I did, you create an employee and you add every single details of what you created. So the new position you created, you can just give it to the employee, new job, grade, location. If you create a position, give them a position. Also payroll, active. This one is by default. You, no, assignment number is by default. Assignment category, you pick up full-time or permanent, depending on what you actually set up. So that's for create employee. So let me quickly go because of our time. So if I go to the next one, I'm not sure what was the next step. Oh God, what's the next step? Yeah, this is if you're creating an employee, that's a lot of work. Okay, the next one is if you need to create a payroll. Now payroll, though we've already created it anyway, so I can just copy this and I will show you how to do that. So if I go out, and remember, payroll is got to do with this is where the people's salaries will be. It will be the one that will actually combine so that they can actually use it to pay the employees. So payroll is a combination of many people in one specific payroll, depending on the number of employees you have. You can have like 5 payrolls, you can have 2 payrolls, you can have 10 payrolls. So depending on the number, and you have a combination of many employees within that payroll. The reason is when if you're running a payroll application, it's good to have many payrolls so that you can run payroll by based on the number of payrolls which you actually set up. So sorry, let me just go to, yeah, it says your responsibility, payroll, description. So this is the one we actually set up. So this is the one we actually set up. I would say is a calendar month. So this is just a standard setup anyway. The consolidation set was always your business group. So that's what I added here. So remember, statutory information is when you're setting up a payroll, it always asks you what is the employer reference, PAYE reference, because this is linked to your PAYE. For if it's depending on the number of employees that are actually here. So, and that's the reason why on your payslip you will see this kind of reference there, because it's linked to HRMC or whatever you would call it. So the unique ID also where we don't need it. So the main thing is actually the PAYE reference. So that's for that. And you go to valid payment method. We actually set this up as well, so we need to add it. The reason why we set this up is so that we can, I will show you where to see this Excel direct method. So let me quickly show that to you. So if we go to one of the employees, so if I go to the first one, so if you go to others, I just pray that it's there. I haven't used this for a long time. Oh God, it must be there. Oh yeah, it's there. Okay, payments method. Okay, so if I go to Excel, so can you see this is the reason why we need it. The reason why we need is this will have the employees' banking details. So if I say priority 1, so if I go to bank details, can you see it says sort code, bank name, account number, So this is GB bank details. So this is standard. So this is where, for example, when you create a new hire, you need to add this into their profile and add their bank so that, or else they will not be paid. So this is where you actually add the details so that they can be paid on a monthly basis, or if it's bi-weekly like US, so this is where you add all the information. If it's US, it will not be Backstep. I think their own is Nacha or Naka, whatever they call it. So they have their own different setup, but this is only for UK, so which is monthly. So depending on how, there's some people it could be every week. If they are, for example, we call them contingents. So you do that. So yeah, that's to set up a payroll. So let me quickly go to the next step. Okay, this is just payments method. No, sorry, payments method. Okay. I'm just trying to see what will actually be relevant. Salary basis. This is what you need for. I'm not going to go too much into salary basis. I just want to see whatever is okay. I think that should be okay for now. Now the next thing, before I round up, because I want to have more time in case some people have any question. So the next one, which we did before we rounded up, I think 3 weeks ago, was just the annual leave. So for the annual leave, let me see if I can see an annual leave here. Annual leave should be somewhere here. Sorry. So now you can see the navigation. God. Yeah, annual leave will just take 5 minutes for me to quickly round up because it's already been set up. Oh God. I just want you to see the navigation so that it doesn't look as if I'm just going in without you understanding the navigation. Oh God, where is it? I don't know the step. The step should be somewhere here. Okay, let me keep on going. Okay, yeah, I've got it. Okay, so this is for the annual leave. So let me see what okay, I think I'll start from here. So if you want to set up an annual leave, so let me show you. Before, total compensation, basic. So the first thing you need to do when you're setting the, total compensation, basic. So the first thing you need to do when you're setting up an annual leave, let me just quickly do something because I cannot remember the, oh God. Okay, so I need this. This is what I'm looking for. So I can go up. So the first thing you need to set up when you want to create an annual leave is to create an element. So that element will be linked to the plan. Normally, when you want to create an annual leave, if depending on the company, there's some company depending on if some employees start today afresh, they are entitled to, let's say, 20 days. As time goes on, depending on eligibility, depending on how many years or length of service, maybe after three years, they could be 25 days. After 5 years, it could be 27 days. So depend on the company rule. So so for you to set up a new plan, before you set up a new plan, you need an element, and that element will be linked to an absence type, and that absence type will be linked to the accrual plan. Because depending on whatever people are entitled to, you need a plan for each one of them. You need a plan. So, for example, you start with elements. After elements, then you start with absence type. So this is the element, and that's why I say create an element for annual leave absence. So if I go here, so the one we did 3 weeks ago, I think we created this, if I'm right. Yeah, we created this element. That's all we need to do. So, and we just say effective date and days, because it's going to be in days, not in hours. So it's going to be in days. So that's it. So I created this as an element. So once I created this as an element, the next step which I did, I link it to a payroll. to the payroll which will be used by the employee. So I just said link. I link it to this payroll. That's the second step. The third step which needs to be done is called absence type. So I created an absence type. This absence type will be linked to the plan, which that plan will now carry 27 days per year or 20 days per annum, or depend on the rules. So if I go out of here, so I'll just copy this. So this is what we did. So we created this absence type. Even though it's the same name with the elements, some people can change it, or you can just say, yeah, that's fine, just same name. Normally, I like to create the same name, so it doesn't make any difference to me. So, and this is the name. It starts from 1951. It's a vacation, or it could be an holiday. So, and I added the element which I created, which is in days, and I said increasing. So that's what I did. Now, if there's going to be any specific reason for this annual leave, normally it's always I'm not sure if there's anything here. Let me check. Oh, there's various information here. These are just if people are sick. So people are not sick. This is just okay. So we don't need all this information. Okay. So you can actually create your own absence reason. So the reason, okay, is vacation. Normally vacation is vacation. So you can just add a new reason. Just say yeah, vacation, if you need it to be there. So once you do this, the next step is to create the accrual. The accrual plan will now carry the number of the number of days which the employee or the employees will be entitled to. So what I did, I'll just show you. So I created this. Just forget about this 20 days. I'll just play around with this anyway. So I created this plan. I said it's vacation. I created the fast formula. The fast formula will be the one that will actually make it to accrue. Remember, when somebody starts today, they're not entitled to 25 days immediately. So they're only entitled to 25 days after 1 year. But they can accrue. Maybe let's say it's 24 days in a whole year. They can accrue in every month. They can accrue 2 days every single year to make it 24. So that's the way it works. So yeah, so nobody starts today and you just get them 25 days. Of course they'll be happy. They just go on holiday. So they'll only accrue. So if they don't go on holiday for 6 months, they will have 12 days. So that means after 6 months they can go on holiday for 2 weeks. Depend on depend on the circumstances. So they can go on holiday for 2 because they've already accrued 12 days after 6 months when they started. So if you look at this, I said 24. So this is 24 here. So which is what they will have in, we say annual rate 24. So this is the fast formula. This is very important. If you notice, this is yellow. Anything that is here is mandatory for you to do, and without the fast formula, it will not accrue. It's not even going to work. So even though you put the accrual band here, this accrual band will only work once you set up a fast formula. This is a copy. I'm not sure. I think I've got a copy of a fast formula which I created. So this is a fast formula which we used the other time. So this is a copy of the fast formula. Now this is a standard fast formula. This is standard. If I go here, can you see this fast formula? Because I think, can you see the fast formula which I'm showing you? Fast formula, I actually use a standard one, and what I did, I now modify it. I put Excel into it so that it cannot become mine. Because if you use a standard one, for example, let me use this. This is a standard. If I copy this, so if I go to fast formula, this is fast formula. So if I do this, now this is Oracle standard. Can you see? It says night. I don't know this day. This is like 100 years old. So this is Oracle standard seeded. Nobody can check. Can you see? It's even greater. I can't even change anything. So this is seeded. The thing is, this might not be applicable to me. For example, this seeded one, what it's saying, if you go here, it's saying ceiling 20 days. What it's saying is nobody can take more than 20 days. So the thing is, we need more than 20 days. So what I did was I created mine and I called it. So if I go out, I called it percentage Excel. Yeah, I called it Excel using the same name, and I said the same fast formula. So in my fast formula, I just said, oh sorry, I said ceiling, I put 40. I want, because some people, depending on the length of service, they can be entitled to 40 days. So if I want, I can change this to, actually I can change this to 60. That's the, so I can change it to 60. So that's the ceiling. So verify and go out, and I can save it and I put correction. So it allows me to make changes, because, and the good thing about this is, if Oracle are doing changes in the future, they can actually go into their own. This is their own. This is Oracle standard. They can go in and they can make changes here, and that will affect you. They can go in the future and they can change this and say, the ceiling, we want it to be 15. And that will affect you. So because you cannot control it, what they're saying is, use us as a guide, but don't use us for your build. So don't use, because I've seen some companies, they always use standard. So if there's any changes, it affects them in the future. So Oracle in the future, maybe next year, they can actually change it to 15. That's the ceiling. And if you have already built 20, 25, it's just going to bring you down and say, oh, sorry, you're using standard. So that's why it's always good to use your own, and you can make changes on it in the future. So yeah, so that's for the elements, that's for the plans which we created. So if I go back to Oracle, so this is the plan which I created. So in this plan, you will notice this is the first formula which I added. This is carryover. Carryover means, if you see this carryover, what that means is every 31st of December / 1st of January, there will be a process that will run. The process is called, I think it's called PTO carryover, something like that, which you will run for the company. When you run it for the company, so if somebody is on 24 days in a whole year, and if you notice I put 999, that means once I run the carryover, they can carry over 24 days. So 24 days will be in a new year plus another 24 days, making 47. But if I go here and I put 0 and I save it, I can save it now anyway. So once they run the carryover, they will never, if they've not used their carryover, they will never be, if they've not used their annual entitlement, once you run the process, it will say 0. That means they cannot carry over anything. That's a 0. Unless the manager says, you know what, HR, please, could you give him 5? Says, could you give him 5 out of his 24? Or could you give him 10 out of his 24? What you can do in that kind of scenario, there's something here which I'm not sure. Oh, I didn't put adjustment. There's something here which you say, if you notice, here is carryover. So if I run a carryover, it gives everybody their carryover if they're entitled to the whole 24 days, if they did not use it in a particular year. But if the carryover says it should be 0, once I run this, everybody will have 0, even though they have 5 or 10 which they should have carried over. So at times in some companies, the rule is you can carry over 5. So that means if you have 10, you can only carry over 5. The reason is they want everybody to go on a break. So, or here, some people, they don't go on a break at all. So there's something which I did not add there. So there should be something called adjustment. So it's now to the discretion of the manager to say, you know what, Tunde has got 24 days. He didn't use it for the whole year. Please give him 10 out of it. So they will now do an adjustment and give me 10 out of my 24. So that's another time. I can teach you that one another time. So it's just a new element. Once I create a new element called adjustment, I just add it here. And so when they go into my profile, they can just say, yeah, they can add adjustment, put 10 days there and that's it. So that's what it means. So that is an adjustment. Okay, so that's an accrual plan. Like I said, you can play around with this. And in some companies, I think I've done this before. So if I go out here, so let me save. I just want to quickly show you this. So for example, if this is the only plan which they're going to be using, some company they can do 0 to 3 years. Somebody, a new person, will be entitled to 20 days, 5 days carryover. So 3 to, let's say, 5 years, I don't know, 5 years, they will be entitled to 24 days, carryover 5 days. There's some companies, they say 5 years to, let's say, 10 years, you'll be entitled to, let's say, 35 days. I mean, something like this will entice some people. I say, oh my God, I need to wait, I need to be in this company for a long time, so I can have 35 days. Carryover 5 days. And it says some companies 10 years to it could be 99, let's say 99 years. Nobody's going to do 99 years in a company anyway. So here they can say you'll be entitled to 50 days. So somebody like that will say, oh my God, 50 days, I love it. What's the carryover? 5 days. So then save. So this can be built into the fast formula to make sure if somebody is coming in for the first time, they're entitled to 20 days immediately. After length of service, 3 years to 5 years, 24 days. After length of service, 5 to 10, 35 days. And after length of service, 10 to 99 years, 50 days. So definitely that's one of the rules, which instead of you creating one plan for this and one plan for that and one plan, so you can just put them in this kind of format. So it's still gonna work. So that's what we do. Okay, what I would do, I will stop now in case some people have question. I won't have more. If you have any question, please let me go to the first step. Let me go to this contents. I mean, in all honesty, this is from my own experience. I mean, if this is a combination of what I've just been training you, is far more than what I'm training you. I just have to break it down to your level to make sure you kind of understand what I'm talking about. If I go so much deeper, some of you would have run away. But the basic which I actually trained you, to be honest, if you know it, is very good. To be honest, I mean, back in 15 years ago, if I know this basic, I will be jumping. And to be honest, what I trained you for the past, I don't know, for the past over a month, when I started 15 years ago, to be honest, I only know maybe 5 to 10%. Only 5 to 10% based on what I just trained you. And I still got a job. I still got a contract, not a job actually. So I still got a contract. But what I'm trying to tell you is you don't need to know everything for you to get a contract. So it all depends on how you push yourself to get it, how much you work harder to get it. That's just the only way out of it. So based on the steps which I put here, to be honest, if you know probably step 1 to 1 to 42, and that's what I think that's what we actually covered most. If you know 1 to 42, to be honest, you'll be okay in terms of implementation. Even though I didn't go so deep, but in terms of implementation, you'll be fine. Honestly, you will be fine, because when you get to your place of work and you look at most of what I actually added here, that's what you're going to see. That's what you're going to see. So, and that's what you're going to implement. Because based on what we actually did, remember, we did it based on one business group. You might get to, your requirement might be, you need to create 5 business groups. You need to create 20 business groups. Recently, I did an implementation, and I think I created 5 business groups for within a space of, for 14 countries. So, and I did everything within a space of, I don't know, maybe 2 months, everything done, and they go live. Now, what I'm trying to tell you is, this is what I did. There's nothing more than this. Everything I've been training you is exactly what I did. Nothing more than that. So, of course, I know more than that anyway, but based on, once you know the basic, that's all you need to know to move forward. Because some people, when you train them, they want to know everything. It's impossible to know everything. Even me, I don't even know 100% of Oracle. But the little I know, trust me, it will take me somewhere. Of course, I'm a child, I'm a Christian anyway, so I put God in front, so which is okay for me. So even though I said step 1 to 42 is good for you, if you've got time, just look at what I did in step 40. I didn't even know that I was doing step 43. So if you go to 44A, just have a look what this is all about. This tax flow, these are very, very crucial as well. But I don't want to go too much into tax law because it could be a little bit technical. So that's why I didn't go too much into this. So once you go into tax law, function, create menu, new responsibility. These are basically these four are when you go into a company and they are kind of vanilla, absolutely nothing. You go in, they've got nothing. So this is where you start. You start from tax flow, function, you create the menu for them, and you create the responsibility. Once you create this responsibility, it's the same thing with once you create these responsibilities here, is the same thing with what we did here, which is step, I'm not sure. Yeah, it says create responsibility. It's the same thing. So once you create the responsibility there, then all this will follow. All this will follow. So I mean, of course, I do this quite often, so it is very easy. So, but if you've got the time, please go through it, and it will be of beneficial to you. Some of these as well. Let me see what will benefit. So, log out and community. Yeah, this is just a thing. Yeah, these are just DFLs, create EIT. I think we've done some create EIT. I think we did that. Let me just quickly check. We did one for EIT. It's called extra information types. So if I go to people, I think we did one. Okay, so Smith. So EIT is always here. Sorry, find EIT is always here. You go to others, extra information. I think we did one. I think we did one. I remember. So passports. This is where. So basically, for you to know more about this, if you go to create an EIT, register the EIT, and attach the EIT to your responsibility. If you notice, I've attached my EIT to my responsibility, and this is where I did that. So if I go to, I think I did that here, if I'm right. No, this is information type. I go to security, information type. So if I query Excel, can you see? So this is what it's saying, that attach EIT to responsibility. This is my responsibility. I attach that responsibility. I attach the EIT to my responsibility. So please, if you've got time, just go through it. To be honest, you see this all the time, because once you finish your configuration, the company will come to you and say, "Oh, Tunde, we want you to create an EIT for us. Tunde, we want you to do some DFF," because most of the time, most of this will always come up. They say, "Oh, even though you finish, they say, oh, we want you to create more." Then you just go through these steps. They always want it. And if you keep on going, there's so many of them. So just go through it. And if you have any question, please let me know. Thank you.